Ready? 9-minute cut. 3, 2.
Welcome. You're listening to the Best of Investing on Fox News Radio, 9:10 a.m. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my co-host, Mark Hahn, president of Pacific Private Money, California's premier private lender. And Ken Winans couldn't be with us today. He is working on Fleet Week, and he's got the W Foundation. You got to check that out at, I think it's Fort Mason. And
lots of fun.
Lots of fun. He's got this great exhibit of space museum stuff, like probably the finest in the country, if I'm not mistaken. And for those of you who are not familiar with our show, picture a bunch of guys sitting around a bar having drinks without the drinks, talking business. With you, the audience, listening in.
It's kind of like that commercial where they're drinking beer and pretending to be on the beach, except we're in the studio pretending to be drinking beer.
Yeah, that's right. And our phone number is 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190. Write that number down because we want you to use that to answer the trivia questions for 3 vacations given away during each commercial break. That's right, we're giving away 9 vacations during this show. The vacations are sponsored by Lighthouse Resort and Marina, located 1 hour northeast of San Francisco. Today's trivia theme is TV shows from the 1960s.
Fun.
Fun, huh? The vacations are free. Their only request is a $75 cleaning fee to cover housekeeping expenses, and the website is lighthouseforfun.com. Check them out at 916-777-5511. Our website, bestofinvesting.com, and you can email questions or comments to Edward at bestofinvesting.com, and join our Facebook page. Quick reminder, World Wraps in Corte Madera and Santa Clara is still giving our listeners a free smoothie with purchase of wrap or bowl if you mention the Best of Investing. Go there for lunch today. They have the best wraps in town. You know, smoothies cost about, what, $3 or $4? Mm-hmm. And the wrap costs only about $8. So, I mean, that's a darn good deal. And we're going to have a special guest in the studio. He'll come on in the second segment. You're not going to want to miss him. He's a San Rafael City Council member, and he's the chair of the Marin Energy Authority, Damon Connolly, and he'll join us in the second segment. For the first segment, though, Mark, tell us what's going on in real estate.
Yeah, for new listeners to the show, if you're driving around the Bay Area and you just happened upon Fox News Radio 910 AM, we talk about real estate, we talk about alternative investments and news of the day. And, you know, the news of the week really is, you know, a couple of August numbers have come out, and they're interesting. You know, real estate is really a mixed bag. It's just the conflicting information has been coming out pretty much all summer long, and this week's no exception. On the good side, you know, in California, August home sales are up. So a report just came out that home sales are up 10% year over year, August 11 versus August 2010. And
that's the good news.
That's the good news.
What's the price, though?
Well, it's the pricing is actually down, but you know the median pricing has been down. You know, in many months. But what's interesting is, you know, compare, for example, 38,000 homes sold in California. Okay, well, what does that mean? Well, compare that to the high in 2005 was 73,000 homes sold in August of 2005. So even though we're up this past August, it's still nearly 50% of what home sales were in 2005, and only 80% of the average for the last 15 years. So we're still below average, certainly. But the good news is there were closings that happened in August. But here's the interesting thing, and we've got, you know, you've got sales these are sales that have closed in August. So these were contracts that went into effect 30, 60, 90 days before. So what I think is a more key, and which kind of I think emphasizes why the market is just in such a flux right now, is they've also released pending home sales for the month of August. And what those are is new contracts that were entered into in August that in theory would be closing in the coming months.
Well, how much of that had to do with bank foreclosures on those sales?
The sales, 50%
Wow,
of those sales are distressed properties. Not all REO, but they're in the definition of a distressed sale, which would include people upside down, short sales, REO, trustee sales. But pending home sales, That's the not so good news. Pending home sales are down. I don't have California figures specifically, but they have pending home sales in 4 regions of the U.S. Are down. Only one region was up, but in the West it's down 2.5%. So, and I find that really interesting because here we are. Last week we talked about the fact that you can get 3.75 purchase money home mortgage now, and there's plenty of inventory on the market, but where are the buyers? What's happening with the buyers?
They're still pretty skittish.
Well, and my thoughts on that are, well, there's a couple of things. One is there's nothing worse in a capitalist market than deflation.
Yeah, correct. I totally agree. You got to keep inflation under control, but deflation would just be a killer.
And the reason it is because if you think that if you wait until next year to buy, you'll get the same house cheaper, you're not going to buy now. Exactly. So you've got buyers sitting on the sidelines, notwithstanding. At 3.75%, that's like a free loan. I mean, when you figure that there's basic inherent inflation, and prices just generally go up over time. We all know that. And at 3.75, that's like getting an interest. It feels like an interest-free loan. I mean, it's amazing. But people, they're sitting on the sidelines. The other reason I think that there's trouble in the marketplace is that the banks are just really interest rates are low, but their underwriting guidelines are a lot stricter now. So we're seeing a higher percentage of fallout in contracts. So when someone gets into a contract for sale, it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to close.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of people do fall out of escrow for one reason or another. A lot of times it's just trying to get the seller to just come up just a little bit more with some extra of the closing costs or something.
Well, and the other trouble is, there's just all kinds of things. There's the appraisal process, which has been crazy of late because appraisers are coming in with valuations that are lower than oftentimes than the agreed purchase price, and it will kill the deal. And so there's just all these very interesting factors that come into play in the real estate market today, and it really makes it difficult to predict where we're going. On the investment side of things, I mean, how does this really relate to people who are looking for alternative investments, which is often really what we were talking about here is people looking to where are we going to earn. Where can you go to earn higher yields or yields, period? Because you put your money in the bank, you get next to 0% interest. There's still a thriving market. Our company, Pacific Private Money, makes real estate loans to real estate investors in the Bay Area, and those loans are funded by individual investors. And so if you just listen to what we talked about the market being kind of flat or down, and there's a lot of unknowns as to where real estate's heading, one might say, well, why would I then want to invest, say, in a real estate secured note if we really don't know which way the real estate market is headed? And that's the reason why when we make loans on real estate today, we're generally not making loans higher than 60 or 65% of the value.
Yeah, but the interest rate that you're giving your investors is
it's a
much
great
higher
interest rate. No, it's a great interest rate. I mean, we actually we're closing off. Well, it's October 1st. We had our September was our best month ever in our 4-year history. We closed 22 loans. So the demand for capital is as high as it ever was. The banks, as we've said over and over again on this show, are not making loans to real estate investors. And real estate is still a great buy if you to hold for rental income. That's really where the play is in real estate today.
Okay. And audience, we're going to cut to our first commercial break, and afterward, when we come back from the commercials, we've got Damon Connolly, who is a city council member for San Rafael, and he's the chair of the Marin Energy Authority. And whether or not you live in Marin, you're going to want to listen to him because this all has to do with the PG&E thing, and it's coming to a town near you. Mm-hmm. So we are going to cut to our first commercial break. Here is the first trivia question. In the 1960s, Robert Conrad played Jim West and Ross Martin played Artemis Gordon in what popular Western-type TV show? The first 3 callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Their website is lighthouseforfun.com. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. In the 1960s, Robert Conrad played Jim West and Ross Martin played Artemis Gordon on what popular Western-type TV show? Again, 888-912-1190. Make sure to include your name, address, email address, and phone number, and we will be right back.